Well, when my son proposed to now my daughter-in-law, a few days later, my husband and I went to their house, congratulated them, and we both explained the time-honored tradition that we have in our family that goes back generations, 3.
Okay, and that tradition has to do with the color of the dress.
The color of the dress. It just represents strength, and it connects the women in our family. It just,
Now, I could see why the women in the family would have this need to keep the continuity. You said you and your husband both went over, so he was just as on this issue as you were?
No, he was there for support. We were actually congratulating them, but I thought it was a perfect opportunity to explain our tradition to her.
And this is your son over here, right?
Yes, that's my son.
Son, come on up, Mr. Dunbar. So you made the decision to marry this woman, Crystal. Talk to me, Paul. Why her?
Why her?
Why?
Well,
out of all the people you could have picked, you chose Crystal.
I guess.
What was it about Crystal that made you go, gotta have her?
It was just the right place, the right time, the right person. We met in a cafe on my college campus, and we just immediately hit it off. We started talking about pistachio macaroons and random stuff. And we sat down. But we just immediately hit it off and emotionally connected. And I think we were both struggling in Tallahassee, Florida at that time. We both kind of connected to that struggle and the grind that we were going through. And we both managed to form this supportive bond. And
okay, I have had enough. It's too sickening for words here. And she's looking up at you adoringly, and I'm just like, oh my God, stop it already, stop. Okay, so Crystal, I have a sense of why you picked him, but I want to hear it from you.
I don't know, he just makes me smile. I think that's what really did it. I was previously married, actually, before meeting Paul.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and safe to say he did not do so. He did not make me smile nearly as much.
That other guy.
Yeah. But I have a son. His name's Jonathan as well, from my previous marriage, and I don't know, just meeting Paul, it was amazing. We clicked right away, but also it was just the way he took in my son emotionally, and it just makes me touches my heart to see how he's kind of adopted.
So would you say your
emotionally.
mother-in-law did a good job with the son that she has here on this earth?
Absolutely.
For you to enjoy?
Absolutely.
She did her thing. She put her foot in it.
Yes, she did.
Okay.
Yes, she did.
So you knew going into this situation that you weren't just marrying Paul. Right?
Yes.
Because here's what I find interesting about this case, and Ms. Dunbar, I want to hear from you as well.
So before Ms. Dunbar talks, the mother-in-law, the angry mother-in-law, and the Dunbar, before she speaks on this one, let's just analyze the case. So you see the person being sued here, see that the wife is very happy, she's jovial. She's being sued for $3,800, and yet she's the one smiling in the courtroom because she's all, butterflies in their stomach and everything. She's all in love with the son. And she's smiling, and here is Annie Dunbar, the angry mother-in-law. She's here and she has not smiled once. Her face hasn't moved with a single grain because she's all angry and she wants to kind of make a statement. So it just shows the kind of person she is. I think she's a very strict type of person. She's angry blonde. I don't want to call her a Karen, but I don't know if she will eventually appear to be a full-fledged Karen in the courtroom, but she might just be one. But you see her angry that the daughter-in-law didn't obey the rules and didn't wear blush to the wedding. She wore white. And why is this a thing? Sometimes mother-in-laws decide to make the wedding of their son and their daughter-in-law their own wedding. And it's, at the end of the day, the bride is the one that has the most say in the wedding, not the mother-in-law, not the mother of the bride, neither the mother-in-law from the husband's side. But here, this woman wanted to dominate the wedding with her own words and her own intentions, and she stated the color to which the bride will wear. To me, that was rather intrusive, but let's continue and let's see how this case goes.
You mentioned something about your son and how he embraced him. Were you just as embracing of his family and all that that meant?
I have really, I've had a hard time, I think, being integrated into the family. Let's just say my mother-in-law has some particular feelings about the fact that I have been previously married, and like this is Paul's first marriage, and the fact that I do have a son.
Well, let me hear from you, Mom.
It has nothing to do with the child. My son,
Here's what I find interesting.
My son is
you said it has nothing to do with the child. You didn't mention the marriage,
the
first marriage.
I'm trying to pick my battles, and that's not one of them. But
Wait, you just said something very revealing. I'm choosing to pick my battles, which means to me, what I can infer is that's a battle that you could have, and it's in your mind. You're just choosing to not necessarily pick that one right now. So that means you have conveyed, I take it, this is your son. Is this your only son?
Yes,
You had some thoughts about him marrying someone who had been married before.
yes.
Did
And
you
he's
convey
too young.
that?
He's too young.
And he's too young. So you're older than him, I take it, or no?
We have a 2-year age gap. Yeah, I'm 27 and
25.
Okay.
I put my trust in her. So prior to going to the wedding to buy a wedding dress, I picked her up. I wanted her to pick it out. And all I said was prior to going that I will pay for the dress if it's blush. Otherwise, we've paid for everything else.
What do you mean?
And
you
I
say
have,
you pay for everything else?
I have
Wanna see all
every-
this?
I want to see everything.
the caterer, the DJ, the dress.
What about those? Do you want to
the-
give those to the judge?
Yes. So this is, like I said, it's a time, it's a tradition.
He'll ask you about them.
All right, Paul. Typically, it's the bride's family and the bride who is responsible for the payment of the various costs. Mom paid for you and your bride. Talk to me about that. Was that an issue for you, or?
Well, for me, generally, I stayed more out of the wedding planning. I left it more to them, left it more to the woman. Generally, weddings are very important in our family, like with the blush dress tradition.
So you have bought into this whole thing because when we're talking about a blush dress,
Yeah.
essentially, from the pictures you're showing me, we're talking pink. We're talking a pink dress.
Yes, more or less.
It's not it's not the pink that you have on right here,
Correct.
which is what color is that? More like a fuchsia color. Fuchsia, but it's like a lighter, more delicate. I would imagine that would be a good word to use for pink. You're not a pink girl. Is that the thing, or?
no, it wasn't necessarily that I'm not a pink girl. I think pink is a wonderful color. I viewed this wedding as a way to kind of start fresh and like start a new life. And oftentimes the color of white is symbolic of purity and of a new start. And I was really looking forward to that. And it was heavily implied by my mother-in-law that I was too impure to be wearing white on my wedding because it's my second wedding and I have a child. So
Is
that
that
really
true?
hurt.
Well, traditionally, that is correct. You don't wear white on your second wedding.
I ask you, was that true that that's what you conveyed to her? That's a yes.
Yes,
It's taking
yes,
you too
yes,
long to
yes,
answer.
it
It's
was.
taking you way too long to answer. It's a
Yeah,
yes.
no, that was a yes.
Because
I did.
why not? At this
I
point, you're
did.
suing, just own it. I
Yeah.
didn't necessarily agree with the fact that she's older than my son. I didn't necessarily envision him marrying someone who had been previously married with a child. And certainly, I didn't envision someone who was going to wear white when I already told them the deal is you got to wear blush. Does that pretty much sum it up?
Yes, but I would have looked past all of that had she had the integrity to do what she said she was going to do. And that,
Let's get into that.
so prior to us buying
Well, hold
the
on
dress,
a moment. You had a reaction to her saying that just now. Why
Exactly. I noticed the reaction. I hope you guys did too. But let's continue though.
did you? What was that? What was that reaction of yours?
Just getting into that has been my life story the last 2 months.
Because you're in the middle of it.
I am quite in the middle of it.
Who do you choose?
I choose getting out of this mess and settling this here today.
Wrong answer.
I side with my wife.
Stop. That's it. When one woman creates you, and then another woman says, but I want to spend the rest of my life with you.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the decision that you typically have to make is it time for me, am I mature enough to leave mom and spend my life with this woman? And take on everything that means, even from a standpoint of having to defend her against the woman that raised you and loves you. So when you say to me, I choose to pretty much not be involved in this, that's somewhat of an immature answer to a husband who has said, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in good times and bad times, forsaking all others. Did you use those vows in your ceremony?
I did.
Did you feel as though he wasn't necessarily giving you 100% backing? That's a yes. That's a yes.
Coming up on America's Court.
I want to make our own traditions. We're starting our own family.
So I like how Judge Kevin Ross is not being biased in this situation. I like how he's also coming from the standpoint of a marriage counselor, not just a judge in the courts, because he's giving some nuggets here that every husband needs to know. Because sometimes for a man's mom, it's very difficult for them to leave their son to the wife. Sometimes the mom is always very clingy towards their son, and for him being the only son, it's obvious that he's the mommy's boy. So the woman, you can see that she's not really happy the fact that he's on the other side of the court with his wife, and she has a lot of traditional values that she just holds on to, that she feels like they're supposed to be embedded in the son's marriage. So she's projecting her own values to the son's marriage. Meanwhile, him and his wife, they have other plans. So from the boy's reaction, you could tell that the boy is already overwhelmed by his mom's catastrophe, the chaos his mom is causing, and now his mom is just trying to, ignite some fire into his marriage while he is trying to get out of it. But he has not been approaching it the right way, and I loved how Judge Kevin Ross told him that you have to pick a side. This is not the one of you being in the middle. You have to pick a side. Either you're in the side of your wife or you're in the side of your mom. And you eventually need to pick the right side, which is your wife, because eventually this is the woman that you made those vows to spend the rest of your life with. So it's a good thing, but then again, the mom is doing too much. But let's see how this goes.
I understand it's a tradition, and it was expressed that was a tradition prior to the wedding. But I want to make our own traditions, We're starting our own family.
You want to make your own traditions. You want to start your own family. You want to do it on this family's dime. Because what I'm seeing here is wedding reception package, $6,000, 140 guests. Rental for 1 extra hour beyond the standard package, $250. Standard linens for all guest tables and head table, $350. The buffet package, over $7,000. Staffing fee, $1,500. Beverage package, $700. China and linen, $700. DJ, $2,500. Mom came out of pocket. Mom and dad came out of pocket pretty heavily there to say, hey, I could be suing for all of it. Did you make an agreement with your mother-in-law to wear a blush wedding gown?
So from my perspective,
It's a yes/no answer.
I did not verbally agree. I said I would try to make it work.
So you were non-committal.
Correct.
Is that true?
No.
Were you there?
Not at when she was buying the wedding dress, but I did hear her imply to my mom that she would think about the blush wedding dress, and I was under the impression on the wedding day that it would be blush.
Why were you under that impression?
Coming up on America's Court.
Why wouldn't you tell the man that you're walking towards?
I didn't understand that was highly significant to my husband to be.
Yes, you did.
This is America's Court with Judge Ross, Emmy nominated for Outstanding Legal Courtroom Program. America's Court is back with the case of Annie Dunbar, who is suing her daughter-in-law, Crystal Dunbar, for fraudulent misrepresentation.
I just thought she understood the importance of the family tradition to me and my mom. And
Well, wait a minute. You didn't tell him that your dress was not going to be pink until he saw you walking down the aisle in a white one?
That is correct, yes.
Now, I get not telling her, but why wouldn't you tell the man that you're walking towards?
I didn't understand that was highly significant to my husband to be.
Yes, you did.
I knew it was important to the history of the family. From my perspective, it felt like an attack on my purity, per se. And
No, I
so
get that. That's what the mom.
Yeah.
Why not tell your husband to be, you won't be seeing me in a pink dress. I'm not going to tell you the color, but it's not going to be pink. Why not just tell him that?
I think I just got really, there was just so much to do beforehand, and I had tried.
You didn't tell him that for a reason. You're not telling me why you didn't tell him that.
I knew there would be things to be said if I did decide, which I did, to walk down the aisle with a white dress.
Okay, now we're being real. So when you went with mom, you picked out a dress.
Correct.
What color was that dress?
The color was white, and it was beautiful, and a lot of women in our family have bought white dresses, but because she said that she would make that happen with dyeing the dress. So I whipped out my credit card because that was the stipulation. It was a conditional gift that I paid for it. So that's her agreeing that she is going to make that dress blush.
That's what it
And-
sounds like.
Okay, so yes, the case would seem like we have been on the wife and the son side, and we've not been talking about mother-in-law. But yeah, the mother-in-law has kind of like a very key, valid reason to sue her daughter-in-law in court today, because it seemed like she was misled. The woman really invested heavily in the wedding, and you could see that she paid for almost everything about the wedding. And investing so much in the wedding and seeing that your daughter-in-law agreed to comply with your stipulation of what you desired for the wedding and eventually doing the opposite, it's kind of like misleading and deceitful. So I can understand why mommy Annie Dunbar is angry here. And the daughter-in-law seems to have been very much aware. She knew what she was doing when she bought the white dress and ended up wearing the white dress to the wedding, which is quite misleading and deceitful. So it was, initially, I didn't really think much of it. I didn't really blame her too much for choosing, of course, it's her wedding, she chose the dress. But looking at the fact that the mom actually paid for this dress and the mother-in-law, of course, also kind of like had a verbal agreement to, sponsor the wedding and do a lot of things, invested highly in the wedding. It kind of like reduces the say she has in some things that she did at this wedding. So daughter-in-law seems to be wrong in this one, but let's continue though.
I just want to move past this because it wasn't about the
Of course
wedding's
you do.
over.
And where's Dad in this whole conversation?
He's
At home watching the game.
rightfully at home.
He's working to pay for this.
He's working to pay. Dad's like, my name's Bennett, I ain't in it. All right, I think I've heard enough. Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel is going to come down in favor of the plaintiff. Because I agree, I think it was a conditional gift. And if mom was really being salty, she would have said, I want all of my money back.
Exactly, true.
Dad is probably the wisest one out of everyone who's like, you know what, it's y'all thing. But what I hope happens, because now you have a bonus grandson, there may be more coming, and it kills me when people have to resolve their issues by suing, but sometimes the point needs to be made. So Mom, I get it. So Crystal, you and Paul will pay that $3,800 back to your mother-in-law. That is the order. Case closed.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $3,800.
So you could see that even the fact that the mom she's being paid the 3,800, you could see that it didn't even bring a smile to the woman's face, because literally that money is not enough for what she really wanted. You could see that she really held the wearing the blush gown for her son's wedding to a very high regard. She really wanted that for her son. And the fact that this is just kind of like an absolution for the whole thing, but it doesn't still heal the pain. She's still pained by the fact that her daughter-in-law deliberately disobeyed her, and not just disobeyed her, kind of like misled her, misled her into paying and investing in the wedding, and still going behind her back to do something different. So she's still hurt by the whole thing. So the whole paying for the dress doesn't make the woman happy. It's just still hurt by it, and it will take a time for it to heal. So I think the daughter-in-law was kind of like in over her own head, and she has to understand that when you're marrying into a family, you're marrying not just the son, but you're marrying every other person, every other relation in that family. So you kind of have to make some adjustments, kind of like you don't have to do things your own way because you want it your own way. You need to kind of leave room, because you are not just marrying the son, but you're married into that family. So it's a vital lesson here, and I hope they are able to resolve their issues outside the courtroom. But with that being said, tell me what you think about this whole case. Do you think Judge Ross was right? I support Judge Ross in this case, and a key thing that was being mentioned here is the fact that mother-in-law said she wants her money back for the dress, and not the money back for the whole thing or for every other thing that she spent on that wedding, because she paid for literally everything: the cake, the DJ, the music, everything, the event, everything. But she just wants the money for the dress back. So it's really a very vital key thing to show that she's not really being spiteful of her daughter-in-law, but she just wants to kind of like get something to heal the pain, just like an absolution for the whole thing. But with that being said, tell me what you think, guys. I'll go by the name Eastcoast Prince, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.